BBC Sussex.
So, introducing another of our great Brighton Festival guests in this hour of the programme. David Bowie and Let's Dance. Delighted to welcome Maria Hackemann to the studio. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
And you have been doing, this sounds like such a fun show. It's called From Head to Toe in Berlin.
Yes, it's a Weimar-themed show of vintage European cabaret, and there's lots of interaction and exciting things happening. It's very interactive. I love to play with the audience and to get them involved with the show, so it's a really good fun night.
So, an insight to that good old-fashioned cabaret then?
Yes, yeah. If you think Marlene Dietrich, sort of 1930s Berlin-style cabaret.
Oh, very flamboyant and glamorous.
Well, it probably wasn't back then, but we've probably got rose-tinted glasses of it now, yeah.
And of course it was a difficult time. It was that period at the end of the First World War. Hitler was very much sort of on the rise. It was the time where there were some difficult economic times. Was that reflected in what went on in the world of cabaret?
Very much so. A lot of the musicians and composers of the time wrote a lot of songs that reflected what was going on in the world around them. For example, a song like Mac the Knife, there's some subtext in there about sort of who is the real enemy. Is it just the sort of the knife criminals, or is it sort of the darker politicians who hide in the shade and aren't necessarily the obvious people who are the criminals?
Yeah, because while all these fantastic acts were going on, very much an undertone of some real nastiness and what happened during the Second World War and all the unpleasantness.
I mean, Berlin at the time in the sort of late 20s, early 30s was a very flamboyant place. It was a place where there were a lot more sort of laws seemed to be much looser. People went there to sort of live a slightly more decadent lifestyle, but at the same time, there was a wealth of culture and arts growing at that time as well, all around Europe.
I can see why you chose this as the basis for a show, but how did this show all come about?
Well, I'm part German myself, and my grandmother is a Berliner, and I was inspired to originally do for her 80th birthday a Marlene Dietrich tribute, and I've always had a passion for that style of music. I love the lyrics of the time, the melodies. You just don't get that kind of music written today. And it grew from there. I was in a double act when I moved to London and met another woman, and we did a double act for a while. And unfortunately she moved abroad, but I continued doing it because it was a passion that I wanted to keep alive.
What did your grandmother make then? You sort of started off, did she see the show?
She's not seen it live. She's quite old now. She has seen me perform before, and she's got videos and recordings and things, so she does seem to she does see these things. Obviously she saw my Dietrich tribute, so she calls me her Marlena whenever. Marlena.
She met her, didn't she?
Briefly, yes, when she was very young. I mean, my grandmother was not an adult at the time of the sort of late 20s, early 30s. She was still quite a young girl, but she did meet her. A friend of hers was part of Marlene Dietrich's family, so knew her.
Always a good one to drop in there.
Yeah. I try not to sort of play too much on that. I mean, it's quite nice to have these little romantic images.
And it must be such fun to get that interaction from the audience and to sort of see. I mean, does it very much depend? The performance depend on how the audience are? Do they
Absolutely.
vary?
I mean, I create a framework for the show, which are the songs, and I sort of I react to things that go on within the audience, sense how they feel about things, and get them involved with stuff. So there's some really good fun elements of the show that really sort of it's different every night.
And of course those songs very timeless, so I would imagine you appeal to quite a wide range in terms of age.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people in the show from very young people, from 18-year-olds all the way up to 85-year-olds. It's got sort of worldwide appeal. It appeals to a whole range of people. I mean, the music of that era, the melodies and the lyrics that I sing about are very modern and up to date, so they're quite timeless, really.
And where and when can we see you then?
You can see me this Friday tonight at 10:30 at the Caroline of Brunswick in Brighton on Ditchling Road, and also next Friday 10:30 p.m. again at the Caroline of Brunswick.
Well, it sounds absolutely fantastic. Can tickets be booked in advance, or in a case of?
They can be booked through the Dome box office or the Fringe Festival box office online, or you can buy on the door.
And if you didn't quite catch all that, I always find search engines and Googling the production always helps, because it'll always pop up. And so the production is called From Head to Toe in Berlin.
That's right.
Thank you so much for coming in. Great to meet you this afternoon.
Thank you. Great to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.